GM, and welcome to From A to Z presents Variations on a Theme. These discussions are about the meaning of large ideas by exploring them from their origins in etymology, philosophy, and history, and how that has created the modern context of the connotations and ideologies we associate with these large ideas. While I will not be able to encompass the entirety of these subjects within one discussion, I still hope to explore the breadth and depth of these discussions as far as possible, and over time. The ultimate point of these discussions is to open the realm of ideas through deeper understanding rather than floating on the surface of unspoken social consensus. What is not the point of these discussions is to be right or decide upon an objective truth. If you find yourself disagreeing with me, that's okay. If I say things that contradict your understanding, please feel free to respectfully discuss these things in the comments, the Discord channel, or DMs of any social community in which we are friends. In our latest discussion on art, which we are continuing here, we focused on the way art evolved from a place of creativity that was a necessity to life into creativity as superfluous self-expression for pure aesthetics and commerce. The focus on commercial success and the vapid aesthetics has left no room for spiritual exploration and has forced artists to think like business owners. Like we're now focused on what works on the platforms, what sells, and over what we enjoy creating. We cut the costs of equipment, collaborators, and quality to create what we can afford, and in many cases, we have chosen to reduce our art to the attention span and taste of our audience. Art of low quality is fueled by technology and exacerbated in hundreds of ways by our fast-paced lifestyles, commodification of time and attention to the point that no one has more than 11 seconds to have an addictive reaction, or else they'll scroll to the next song, video, article, or image. In this environment, what is an artist actually looking for when they search the creative depths for inspiration? Do we spend more time searching for truth and meaning, or do we search for the thing that will make us popular, marketable, and valuable in the eyes of an audience? In the original definition of art, there's a focus on skill that we have lost in our modern context. Music has become a collection of loops that are pre-recorded into DAWs. Musicians have been largely replaced with tech-knowledgeable producers who can rearrange samples. Even these producers are not given the credit, as it takes a pop singer and a ghostwriter lyricist to repeat themes of love, heartbreak, party themes, or the appropriate level of anger over these arranged samples. And we call these personalities artists, while the creators of the samples, the synth sounds, and the software are virtually unknown to the world as mere employees. Everyone is just doing their job. Given the payments provided by streaming service, this is probably the best business model anyone can have for music. Having a band, an orchestra, or even more than one person getting money from a song is unsustainable. Using microphones as little as possible also makes sense. Sampled and synthesized instruments require much less tweaking to mix, no mic hiss, or amps to deal with. Everything has already been made to hit play and sound near perfect. Slap on some presets and then you get going. If you can't play an instrument, that's okay. We'll just draw it in MIDI. You don't understand music theory? That's okay. We have auto-tune and can lock into scales and modes. We can quantize the rhythm if you can't keep a beat. There's every piece of technology that is there to make things easier, but in a lot of ways have been used to make skill unnecessary. And don't get me wrong, there are new skills that have developed in that place, and that's not the point of what I'm getting at here. So let's get further into it. So I'm a gear nerd. I love tools, and I utilize technology for creativity every time. I appreciate the democratizing force that a cheap barrier to entry provides for people that can't afford instruments and equipment. The problem I see is that the technology has been coupled with the mindset of quick, vapid fame. diva behavior, and a focus on cash as the ultimate goal of creative endeavors, which means rather than becoming highly skilled with a new medium, we create the same types of songs over and over and over. No one is using the tech to increase their skills, just decreasing the effort that goes into creating near carbon copies of formulas that prove market viability. These are similar complaints to what traditional painters might have had about digital art. There is a focus on aesthetics, but the skill of being able to draw, understand color theory, shading, or any of the practical knowledge are lost by the preset palettes, auto shading tools, pre-made 3D renders, all that stuff. Like artists no longer have to mix their paint on a palette. They no longer have to stretch canvases. I'm not saying that that's what an artist should be doing. What I'm saying is that with every wave of technology, you see the people who were doing one thing saying, you're cheating, you're cutting corners, you're going around the system. And what they don't realize is that like people who couldn't do the thing they were doing are going around that system for a reason. And it's going to make the art better, or at least it should have made the art better. But coupled with the commerce and the art and the market and the social media and the way things are going, it has produced the barrier entry has actually lowered the quality instead of increasing the skills. So that's kind of where I'm getting with all this. I understand that the skills lost to time and technological advance may be unnecessary, but what is the nature of these mediums that create its natural style? Like, if style is the natural byproduct of medium, what is the nature of digital medium? How can we break through the binary into a place where the spirit is heightened by these tools and the skills we acquired in our analog mediums transcends into the digital realm, not as competitors, but in synchronicity? Our current artistic culture is alive on pure mimetics. We copy the styles of past decades, remake the same movies, revise the same hero stories, and sing the same love songs over and over. Our social media is kept alive by borrowing pop culture references and reframing them to whatever social, political, or personal message is popular at the time. Some of the most popular social media pages steal and repurpose the long-form material of other podcasts, films, and documentaries. Market forces and pop culture certainly made it this way, but all art culture has slowly been steered this direction by exploring meaning and the lack thereof in the 19th and 20th century art and philosophy. Absurdism, nihilism, Dadaism, postmodernism, and existentialism are just some examples of artistic explorations that sought to find a meaning in a fastly evolving society that was just as quickly losing its grip on spirituality. The stories and the mission of art prior to the 19th century largely sought to convey reality, capturing the truth of life and giving it a spiritual lens through which to experience something unfamiliar. As technology gave us more accurate representations of reality via photographs, film, and objective science sought to explain the wonder of life as measurable phenomena, the subjective experience of art had no place in an objective reality. This left the artist to explore the depths of spirituality and human experience in a more abstract way. But those artistic experiments failed to reach the masses in any meaningful way, except pop art. Not to say that that was spiritual in nature, but it is the thing that was coming out of that time period that made the biggest impact. And so market data after that point begins to document what music, imagery, and stories caused responses that resonated with the biggest audience. This data allows for producers, advertisers, record companies, investors, and government agencies to manipulate media in such a way to steer people towards products and propaganda. And the ability to control behavior and narrative via emotional manipulation has replaced any spiritual endeavors in art. And by making artists compete within a system in which new and unexplored themes are unacceptable, we're eventually ground down into products or left to be hobbyists. Artists start to become clones of successful business models rather than diving into the creative depths for something new and unexplored, from fear that you can't get mass attention with niche ideas. And that is actually, if you really dive into any, like, how do you make it on Instagram? How do you make it on Twitter? How do you make it on TikTok? They will tell you, make sure to not do things that offend advertisers. Make sure to not do things that saying keywords and doing things that would make you not make those platforms not want to make you visible. And it all comes down to pleasing advertisers. That's who you're thinking about when you want to go viral, when you want to hit it big. You need to make sure that you're not being, annoying or in any way offensive to the larger population of capital that would be wanting to put their products on these platforms. So in this endeavor, we have given up all of our art to social media and signed away our rights in hopes that someone would pay attention long enough to make us rich, famous, or both. Now, the entirety of artistic endeavors are called content and given to the algorithm to decide if our art is worthy of human attention. And we have willingly reduced our entire lives to data and wonder why the big tech companies treat our art like their property. It's interesting to see how quickly people change their minds on fair use, homage, and originality when artificial intelligence enters the chat. We have been stealing from each other since the beginning of time, and the lines become exponentially blurred when the internet and social media become an active part of our artistic lifestyle, i.e. memes. The entirety of digital media explosion has been wage theft and labor arbitrage to the creative industry. All of these digital platforms have been stealing from artists, and consumers use these technologies to steal from artists. And it has gone on for well over a decade. AI is doing what any great artist does, but better. I really appreciate you being here with me today, and get ready for the next part where I'm going to dive very much deeper into AI and how it's affecting art and how it's affecting us as artists and as people who view that art. And I really appreciate your support by, liking, commenting, and sharing to anyone you think might find these conversations relevant. We're on Lens Protocol, Farcaster, X, YouTube, and anywhere else, Find me in Discord and we can have a conversation about these things. So, peace, y'all.